Hello, in this video I'm going to be talking about several underwater structures that I discovered in the Aegean Sea. The first such structure is the following. What is this? This looks like a pyramid. If this was something that was on the earth instead of underwater, we would really label this as a pyramid. And the problem is, of course, it's located on the bottom of the Aegean seafloor at a depth of around 1,660 feet. And this depth is deeper than the maximum drop in the sea level, even during the coldest part of the ice age. So the land on which this supposed pyramid, if it was built, if this is indeed a pyramid, would have always been dry land, and that's a problem. So how do we explain the existence of this pyramid? Now, if there was just one, we could kind of say, hey, this is an error, this is an artifact that's generated by Google. There's some error in the data or the processing of that data that's generating this image. But the problem is there's another pyramid. There's another pyramid in the Aegean Sea, and this is located even at an even greater depth of 2,800 feet versus 1,600 feet for the other so-called pyramid. And this has an even steeper slope, and it has a really distinctive shape that we would really classify as a pyramid if we found it above sea level on dry land. And so where are these structures? The structures are located very far apart from each other in two different parts of the Aegean Sea. And so how do we explain the existence of these pyramids if they really do exist and were supposedly built by man? As I said before, a lower sea level in the past can't explain their existence because even during the last glacial maximum, which was around 22,000 years ago, the sea level only dropped around 130 feet, which is around 400 feet. But as we saw, those pyramids in those images were actually located over 1,000 feet deep. So they would have been underwater even during the last glacial maximum. Let alone around this time, which is the time in which Plato's Atlantis and other civilizations that existed contemporaneously with Atlantis existed. And so this idea is actually anticipated by Plato. Plato claimed that the islands, the land of Athens that existed, is really the bones of the wasted body, so that there's a mere skeleton of the land being left. And I will provide a theory that I believe is consistent with the metaphor that Plato uses to describe how ancient Greece has transformed since the time of the Ice Age to now. Here, today, we have the island of Crete right here, and we have the island of Karpathos, the island of Rhodes, and the island of Antikythira, and we have Kythira. And then we have mainland Turkey, and we have the Peloponnesus. These are all separated from each other by these channels of water. That's how they are now. But my theory is that they were actually once all connected via a land bridge. That there was a land bridge connecting these two islands, land bridge connecting this with the mainland, and a land bridge connecting all of these with each other. So that there was a continuous arc of land extending all the way from mainland Turkey to mainland Greece. That would have cut off the waters of the Aegean Sea, so that the Aegean Sea would have evaporated away, leaving behind a vast dry below sea level basin on which the Greeks could have actually once lived. And in this interpretation, if that were the case and this was all dry land, everything that's shaded in red, or everything that is kind of filled in with red right here, if this was all dry land, and then when this land bridge actually collapsed, the waters of the Atlantic Ocean or the Mediterranean Sea began to pour into this basin and to flood it. And so that's the theory as to how these pyramids could actually exist. It's that all of this area that's shaded in red was actually once dry land. And in that interpretation, that previous quote in which the Egyptian priest described the land of Greece as ultimately a skeleton of its former land is very much makes sense. Imagine all of this red shaded, red colored area being land. That's like a full body. You have this entire area outlined by this arc being land. You have all of this being land. But then after the flood happens, you have what looks like a skeleton. What instead of all of this being land right here, you have only this kind of skeleton that's left. You have the bones of the remaining land. You have these bones that are scattered all over that are left. And so that's a theory as to explaining how these pyramids could exist. And again, I'll show you these pyramids one more time. And of course, I only searched for around 30 minutes or an hour before making this video, so there may be additional underwater features on the bottom of the Aegean Sea that you can discover for yourself. I would encourage you to take a look. And again, I don't believe that this is Atlantis. I believe that this is ancient Athens. I believe that Atlantis lies in the Atlantic Ocean somewhere, but that there was also an ancient civilization on the bottom of the Aegean Sea, and that civilization is really just as important as Atlantis. It's not like Atlantis is the overall story, the name that we give to the story, but there were other ancient civilizations that existed at the same time as Atlantis, and I believe that these pyramids were built by one of those civilizations.